This is a presentation that I gave in May this year. It's to talk about the opportunities within the fleet management world of optimization technology in general. Firstly, a bit about myself. I've spent most of my working life in automation, optimization, and information management. And I've worked in different areas such as transport, manufacturing, energy, workforce, to name a few. And I've found that optimization is a technology that's applicable across the board, but a lot of these industries are apparently very different. But when you actually dig into it, the optimization problems can be very similar. I'm the managing director of Opturion, and Opturion is a spin-out from CSIRO and Monash University. The main difference between Opturion and other people in the optimization business is that we have new optimization technology based on artificial intelligence. I won't go into the details of the differences, but I am familiar with a wide range of optimization technologies in my career, and I confidently say that this is a much better technology. It's faster in terms of application and execution. It's therefore cheaper, and it solves a lot of the optimization problems much better than the traditional technologies. Unfortunately, for people in the optimization business, the word optimization can be overused and misused. So I'm trying to define it here, which says it's about making or supporting decisions that are compliant. And by compliant, I mean obey all the rules around business rules, regulations, and so on. The solution must deliver the level of customer service in terms of service level agreements or delivering full on time or those sorts of things. And when we find a solution which is compliant and delivers the customer service, we really are looking for that one that minimizes the cost or potentially maximizes revenue or some other thing which is important to the business. Optimization can be applied to both planning and scheduling problems. Planning is all about really quantities and options, whereas scheduling is about ordering tasks in some detail. They're both amenable to optimization because obviously there's cost involved in both of them, but planning tends to be over a longer term. Often it doesn't need to be so accurate. And the focus really is on reducing cost. Where you get to scheduling, it's often shorter term, but you do need a lot more detail. And scheduling is one of the areas where Opturion technology has proven to be very capable and solves a lot of problems which up to now haven't been solved. And if you think about where optimization can work best, it works best where you have these three factors. It's quite simple. If you don't have any choice, there is no optimization problem. If it's very simple, then you can work it out. And if it never changes, you can get someone to work out a solution and then do the same thing every day. Fortunately for Opturion and other people in this business, choice, complexity, and change is a matter of fact for any business. And when you're thinking about optimization, the important thing is that optimization is all about reducing variable cost because fixed costs aren't impacted really by anyone's decisions. Unfortunately, a lot of people get confused between fixed costs and variable costs and focus on standard costs. And what standard costs I mean are the sorts of things you actually charge your customers, which have an element of fixed cost and an element of variable cost. But when you're considering optimization, you really need to think about the costs you can control and the costs that vary, and these are the variable costs. The other fact to consider is there are different sorts of decisions. At the top level, the board and the CEO are making really big strategic decisions, but they're not making them very often. Yet at the bottom of the pyramid, supervisors are making operational decisions minute to minute, hour to hour. They may not be very significant, but there's a lot of them and they're very frequent. And in fact, it's possible for optimization to be used across all these different areas. But it's very common at the moment for optimization only to be used at the tactical level, and that's often a feature or a result of the technology which is currently used, because it's quite good at tactical, but it's not very good at strategic or operational decisions. So when you look at these different levels, strategic decisions are often about acquisition of assets, acquisition of a contract, where the decision is quite big, it's made, and it doesn't really change. Tactical planning is all about what am I going to do tomorrow through to maybe next month, the next 3 months. And the operational side is what am I going to do today, this afternoon, or maybe now. So the different time frames, different impacts, and different types of decision. Opturion technology can support all of these levels. So these are examples of strategic, like I said, buying equipment, maybe locating a distribution center, enter into a contract. When we enter into a contract, we think about, okay, what resources do we need? Are we going to use our own resources or are we going to use contractors? What's the actual cost of servicing the client in terms of what are our costs so that we can work out how much we need to charge the client? And maybe there's a cost model which talks about per kilometer, per hour, per trip. How does that work when things change? Does it work against us or does it work for us? Similarly, when we're purchasing equipment, we might just look at lifetime cost of ownership, but there's more to it because we are servicing a customer which may have varying needs. So it may be that the size of the vehicle is important, maybe where it is important. Are we going to utilize it to the degree that we need to? Should we buy a smaller vehicle and utilize it more, or a larger vehicle and utilize it less, and so on and so on. And we need to map that against the demands of the customer. So in terms of the approach to a strategic problem, we have a lot of choice. We can choose the type of vehicle, size, the location, how long it works, and we can look at all those vehicle choices against the demands. Maybe the normal demand that the customer talks about, maybe the peak and the low demand. And the outcomes of that optimization must be compliant, deliver the customer service, and then we look for the lowest cost. So we're really taking notional fleets, applying them to the customer problem and saying, okay, how does that work in terms of compliance, customer service, and cost? So some of the work that Opturion's been doing, looking at how can we service a contract, how can we better service a contract, how can we choose the right equipment, can we vary the service levels, can we vary delivery windows, all those sorts of things for these sorts of clients, so as they get a better understanding of the impact of their strategic decisions. And there are some challenges around this because, like I said before, cost of ownership is just one factor. And the real problem is how can I get the optimum fleet when my demands are varying? And quite frankly, averages are quite dangerous. And obviously, we don't want to size for peak demand because then our vehicles will be parked up for a lot of time. But we may not want to size for the low points either. It really depends on our cost factors compared to maybe the cost of a contractor. And we need to be able to understand when things change, are we going to lose money or is it going to be okay? Now going back to the other form of optimization, which is tactical, with tactical optimization, we've already made decisions around resources. We've actually got staff, we've got people, we've got contracts with contractors, we've got contracts. What we want to say now is, okay, when customer demands turn up, how are we going to allocate or load our vehicles? How are we going to schedule our vehicles, and how are we going to route our vehicles? So it's a resource utilization problem more than any. So in that case, we have our customer orders have come in, and they have their characteristics in terms of, where are they going, how much do they weigh, how big are they, when should we deliver them. We've already got our resources because that's been determined before the contract, and now what we're trying to do is work out how to use those resources in the most efficient way. And here are some of our customers who've used tactical optimization in their business. And again, it's often, what am I going to do tomorrow through to maybe next month. The customer orders change on a daily basis. They have delivery windows, they have weight and volume. And the question is, how do I utilize my resources? And one of my favorite examples here is Afs Logistics, where through their platform, Afs Logistics have incorporated Opturion technology and automated the process, so turning customer orders automatically into run sheets for vehicles. And I think that's the way of the future. But with everything, there are challenges. If you made a plan tomorrow and not all your drivers turn up, or your trucks are not available, the plan cannot be executed exactly as you thought. There's often incomplete or inaccurate information. We often see situations where a line haul vehicle comes in with deliveries for the next day and something's missing, or there's deliveries on there that weren't expected. And that's very similar with things like warehouse pick. The warehouse may not be able to pick everything the customer wants, but you still need to deliver what you've got. That has been one of the reasons why tactical optimization or tactical planning has had challenges in the past. So the way around that is to do what I call operational optimization, which is either re-optimization or continuous optimization. So if changes happen, for example, to the orders, you can react. Or if there's delays either on the day or even the day before operations, or something doesn't turn up, you can update the plan quickly rather than throwing the plan away and going back to do it in the old way. So in terms of the optimization approach for operational optimization, we've already got our run sheets because we've done a tactical plan. We've got our schedules, our routes, and our loads, but then something changes. So we need to look at the impact of new orders, cancelled orders, delays either to vehicles or traffic delays or non-delivery. Maybe you go to a customer, they can't accept a delivery that day. So using our platform, we can quickly create new schedules and run sheets almost in real time, and I mean in a matter of, say, seconds or minutes, so that there's no delay. Some of our customers in this area are the likes of non-emergency patient transport, where it's only 25% of the people make a booking the day before, Allied Express, which is highly dynamic, taxi trucks and couriers, or for example when you're doing load plans for fuels, where on the day, due to changes in, for example, changes in specific gravity of the fuel or temperature of the fuel, you can get more or less on the vehicle. So most people get the idea that there are benefits from optimization, and obviously cost is one of the key ones. But going through this exercise gives a very good benchmark of what your organization can really do. And it provides a really good KPI, because if you look at things like kilometers, utilization factor, time worked, these are all a function of what the customer wants on a particular day, and it's difficult to know what's a good KPI and what's a bad KPI. I generally believe that the only really good KPI is plan versus actual. That tells you how well you did compared to what you could have done. And the other element of optimization, it stops you over servicing the client, and that's very common. So you know what your service levels are. You can guarantee compliance, very important for the director's peace of mind, and either reduce cost or increase revenue depending on what your business is looking for. So I trust you found this useful. If you have any questions or would like to talk about it further, please get in touch with Opturion, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.